And there you go. Hi, everybody. We are going to talk a little bit about some maybe intermediate, maybe advanced tricks. First of all, this is me. You can read later. We're not going to waste time with presentations here. We're going to talk a little bit of simple routines, so to prepare your data to network analysis. In the Gensy activity, they already talked about table to net, but there's some ways of importing data directly to Gensy that's also quite interesting. I just make a short presentation here of a tool that sometimes I use to do some cleaning. That's the text cleaner. Hope things don't get messy here. Okay, here we go. And here you can see the text. I'll bring this up front. And this is a very simple online tool. You just can use it to make some changes that you want to clean and remove HTML stuff. You can clean word-specific tags that you have from Microsoft Word that sometimes are in the middle of something. This could be a very interesting tool. If we're talking about a more advanced workshop here, I just give you the link and presenting you very quickly so that you can see that it works quite well. And it's very good for some easy way of cleaning stuff. So maybe you're just with some, let's see. Let's think that you just have all these links here of museums and list of national museums here. And then you have all links here. You can just save this page. Very curious. Save pages, and you can just save as a web page in HTML. And then if we just open up this content, just get this in downloads. As you can see, I have here a web page with lots of stuff. And just go to the paste the content and then start to do something like remove HTML and then anything the text. Then you have lots of data here that was just before. And there's some not complete cleaning, but you can start cleaning with results like here. It has the title, the text of the names of series of museums. I just pick here a really quick and random example so they can see that. Okay. Besides that, that's a very easy tool to use it, and sometimes I do use this as a very simple way of performing this. We are going to talk more about preparing data so that you can go directly to your network analysis. If you go to Gensy or any other kind of software that can handle the idea of connections between two cells or two columns in data, the best way of doing this is preparing your content so they have from and to result. And in the last workshop, I just explained how you can be there with this result separated, like comma separated values and so on. Just going to open up here a little bit of very quickly Gensy for this. Oh, it's opening the beta version. Sorry. I have both versions of Gephi installed, so sometimes when I started, it started the old version. Then I have to go back. Okay. Files. And it's open up here in my computer. I just put the screen as soon as it has opened so that you can take a look at this. There. Okay, let me just put this back here. So, when you start a new project in Genshi, you can just import data as you want, but there's one option to import data. There's a plugin, and that's a very interesting one. It's called this codes. This one, convert Excel CSV files to network. And without this, you cannot import data directly to it. And with it, you even sometimes don't need to go to table to net. You have to prepare your data to import the data to Gephi if you want to, but then you have to prepare the whole data to be one from, to, or connection by connection. And with this computation that it does here with this plugin, you can then use, like, if you have multiple options on one of the columns, you can do a kind of connection of your data, in the sense that then you can have like one word in one side and several words on the other, and they will perform a two-mode network for you. So let's make here a quick example of this. I'm going to prepare an Excel file for us. So you have a really simple Excel file here. I'm going to perform this. I'm going to give this the name, just like our test example. And I'm going to say here that we are talking about names and then keywords. And normally, the kind of data that you can import here will be something like one name, like Fábio, and then Jana, and then let's say Carlos or José. And then you have keywords like say Brazil, Portugal. I know Jan is not Portugal, but this is actually in Portugal, so maybe like say Carlos is from Spain, and Jose may be from Mexico. Okay, this will be a very simple network. This normally you can import directly to Gephi. Right. Let's say something that we are not talking about this. We are talking about the keywords will be places where Fábio has been. So Fábio has been to Brazil, has been Portugal, has been to Mexico, has been to Spain, and has been to Germany. While Jana has been to Brazil and to Portugal. Okay, and Carlos has been to Spain and Portugal, and Jose has been to Mexico and Brazil. Well, here we'll have a two-mode network, and normally it will need to be passed through table to net or something like this in order to you don't try to import this. But with this format, you can already import it directly to Gephi. You don't need to go to table.net. You don't need to go to do anything like that. You just can import it directly to Gephi as long as you have that plugin installed. And the plugin is the convert Excel and CSV files to Gephi to network. Name is here. Tools, plugins, install this convert Excel and CSV files to networks, including dynamic ones. Okay. You can even put information about a date. So if you want to see how long does tweets about messages go on, and you want to do a dynamic graph, this is the easiest way to do a dynamic graph, because then you can say like, I'm going to prepare another one here, very simple one. I'll rename like tweets. Okay, and it will be and time. It will put like that, okay? And we're going to put like 01, 2001. And just to make things easier, I just will do like this one plus one to give some series of days on this example. And I'm going to put like some hashtags like hashtags hashtag AAA and hashtag BBB, something like that. A very easy one. Step again, sort it up here, and will be like hashtag AAA, hashtag C2C, and hashtag BBB. And then will be hashtag MFF, hashtag BBB, hashtag here. The last one here, like hashtag BBB, hashtag MFF, and hashtag CCC. And some randoms accounts like Fábio, Diana, and Carlos, and Fábio, so on. Okay. And what was it? Put this like that. Just have another example, quick example here for us. Okay, there you go. I just going to save this. Let's and now so this will be our example. Okay, I'm going to save this, and there you go. To Gephi, if I just come here and ask for import, it will open up an import wizard, and this import wizard will give you lots of opportunities to perform very different ways of dealing with your data down. There's also an option here to use similarities and co-occurrence. The first option, co-occurrence, is the one that's installed at first. In order to have the similarities one, you have to install the similarity computer. But if there's another plugin, but similarity is quite a tricky one plugin. Sometimes it works well. I have a lot of trouble with it. So normally I only use this plugin if straightforward co-occurrences case. Then I'm going to select files, and it's very important that you follow up my advice from the first paper lab. You have to have headers. Without headers, things will get really difficult to work with. It imports data from Excel files and CSV files. You can choose. I'm going to select here. Just open up downloads. Let me just put here so you can see. And if we go to example, that I have closed the Excel and then, oh, okay, well, because I close it just in time. Yes, okay. Oh my gosh, because I have to close it. Let's start again, okay? Board. Okay, so okay, that didn't work. Okay, it found out and there's tweets or there's the example. I will just use first the example so you can see it. In the example, the data. Okay. And so it will just get the top information that you have on your headline, the first row, and you know that we had on the first example names and keywords. So it will ask you if you want to do what kind of network do you want to do. If you want to do just a simple co-occurrence network, you will just choose it twice. So let's see. As the keyword says several countries, I just want to do a result of the co-occurrences of these several countries on each one of the lines. Or maybe I just want to see the co-occurrence of words in my tweets. Let's see, I have a list of tweets with each line with tweets. I can just grab the co-occurrence of words or the co-occurrence of hashtags that I have just separated. Okay, just can ask for the both keywords together. But if I wanted two-mode network, I also can do names and keywords, okay? So I'm just creating here a two-mode network in this case. And then he will ask, well, does each one of these columns have subfields? If they don't have subfields, it's okay. But if they have subfields, I have to tell that they have subfields and what is separating the subfields. So you know that in keywords, we use the semicolon as a separator for each subfield. Each one of the keywords is separated by a subfield on semicolon. And then we ask for the semicolon here, and there you go. So if there is a dynamic network that we'll try with tweets later on, you can use which is the column that has the data from time. So you can see the time applied on your result. And this generates quite fantastic results when you try to see how things go over time. And you can see the movement over time. But it's really, really amazing. So then you ask this here, because in this case, we're not using the dynamic network. And you have the final options here. There are quite important options. First of all, links between the names agents and links between keyword agents. In this case, yes, we want to do this because we are connecting names to keywords. Okay. Option. It asks if we want to remove duplicate lines. So in the case that you say, well, if there's a duplicate line, this doesn't matter for me because I just want the occurrence. So maybe I'm dealing with results from tweets, and I said, well, if people are talking, I'm just reproducing the same tweet. This doesn't matter for me. So if my account just reproduces, that's exactly a set of tweets or exactly set of hashtags. So I just retweeted every time that account, that doesn't matter to me. I don't want to know the volume of retweets that one account have to the other, but rather I want to emphasize the diversity of accounts that have retweeted that account, then you must remove the duplicates. It's an option. And remove set loops are sometimes important because maybe you have a situation where one side of the nodes have connection to the other side of the node, so I don't want to have self loops. This, in no case, let's think that if you have a situation when someone maybe have a connection, put on a connection to itself, and you want to remove that. It's an action. So next, and then you have to finish. And there you go. And they say this is another directed network, that's okay. It's into scale, everything's fine. I just say, okay, and then I have my simple, very simple network here. Okay. I'll just put this as fisherman hand graph. It's a very simple graph. And just change the size for some ranking, like the degree or frequency. They are degree quite same. I can just and just apply the names here so I can see the names. Oh, it was a column, not it was it was not the same column. That's why what's wrong here. I asked for the wrong thing. So let's go back and import again. File import. Across. Select file. This follows. Example. Okay. Let's put the example. And names and field basically. And it gives was a column. Okay. Next. Okay. Sorry about that. I forgot that this column. There we go. Now things are right. Let's just run the for push them behind here. And you can see connections are more strong here in some cases. And if we take a look here, you can see Brazil, Portugal, and the connections are among those, and people are connected to those because these were the ones that were more frequent. If we just here in a more easy way to see the co-occurrence and manage renders. And this is the capacity of 70. There. And if I just do some supply from columns, just a second, like this. Like the big. Okay. We have an answer result. Well, this is a very simple way to import data. We can then now perform another kind of data import. We're going to perform this. I just want to clear all this. There you go. I'm going to import. Next. You have to select the file. And let's see here, downloads. And I'm going to perform here, open the example. Ask for tweaks in this case. And then we'll ask for connection between the accounts and hashtags. I don't quite remember how it was this. Was it? I think in this case it was semicolon or semicolon. Then I asked for date. To see if it was right. Otherwise, a comma. The column date. No, it wasn't. It wasn't like that. Let me just open up the date again. Excel file. The issue was that I used the formula to put the data inside, and that's not a good idea, because if you put a formula, it is not able to understand that that's a formula. So you have to convert data as numbers. Okay. So just making some adjustments here. I'll show it later. Oh. Okay. Okay, just made the corrections necessary. To say this. That's open. Import purposes. Select file. Just as import example. Please. There you go, account, hashtags. And then I ask for date. I say that's the same column here in the hashtags. And I will ask for date here. Okay. I thought it didn't work quite well there. Let's see. Let's see what it goes. Okay. Let's see if it can go right or not. Oh no, it was a cover. Okay. That's just a question of importing again. Occurrence, there you go. Okay. I swear that I used it second column. Okay. It will be semicolon for the hashtag. Oh, no, sorry, it will be the column for the hashtags. Okay. Get the date. Duplicates. Next. And okay. Now we have it. And we could just run this. Run as a first and goat, and it's running. Okay. And I'll just make some maybe partition by type. So I'll have the account. You see hashtags and hashtags, they have a problem here because we don't understand quite well. I have to change this in the data laboratory. This is not uncommon to happen. I'll just have to edit this. Let's say this, the value of the type is that. Okay. Now everything is fine. So I'm going to apply this columns and also make a choice of degree in this case so that it will be quite different. And you see, I just imported all my data inside here, this web presentation. So I have the hashtags in the two-mode network, and also as a result of the names of persons and the hashtags they use it. It's a very simple network here, but it can also enable the results from like timeline here. So it understood, as you can see, the situation as timeline, so I can just perform this. Let me just open up here, bigger way, so. See? So as the time goes, it starts changing my result. And you can see the movement of the nodes while the time is going. It has some changes. It's starting so. So we can then try to use a different scenario with a bigger data of this. But first of all, we can now switch for another problem that normally arises when you try to do this kind of, data treatment and results. So let's see. Just a minute. Okay. And to stop here. Okay, we're just going to minimize here. Next thing that we are going to talk a little bit about is about JSON files. Sorry, not exactly Json files. JSON files are normally a kind of files that we deal a lot during data analytics and so on. And people sometimes are not used to deal with them. The great question about JSON files is that JSON files are a form of files that are good for machines to read, are good to put structured data, more nested ones. It's better than like a spreadsheet because a spreadsheet has just 2 dimensions. You can put several nested content when you try to use JSON files. And it's more like a text file that's database capable to preserve database content rather than simple spreadsheet that's exactly perfect for that kind of manner. They're just, you can even think of nested tables being represented in a JSON file. And they are only part of several things that are exported by several of these platforms. And you need to be used to use them. But normally when we try to perform some kind of analytics, or if we try to do a presentation or a visualization, we normally have to narrow down the dimensions that we are dealing with. So it's a matter of cutting a little bit of the excessive dimensions and focus on what we can represent in a space of 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional space in terms of visualization. And this is much more of our limitation and our need to deal with this. So to use JSON files, you can first, if you think about FacePager normally store all the data and can export things in JSON files or CSV files as long as you want. But normally we try to use a tool called OpenRefine. This OpenRefine is not, it's better than using some options like Excel or spreadsheet like. It's used to refine data and sort data and even correct problems in data. It's a very good one. It's not really capable of dealing with really big data, but for what kind of data that we normally deal with, that's in the middle term between what's really very short amount of data and big amounts of data in big data. OpenRefine situates in the middle ground of this, and it can be used without the need of more complicated installation of stuff or knowing scripting and so on. Even though it has a scripting language inside of this, that it's very interesting to learn, but the learning curve of OpenRefine is interesting because you have a start that's very easy to begin with and you solve lots of problems. You can start learning more and more as time goes by. Okay. Well, first of all, you have to download OpenRefine, and OpenRefine is easily found in OpenRefine.org. And then when you download OpenRefine, you will see that it will be a directory with the results of this. Let me just open up here this here. How it goes. There you go. And you can see here it's like a directory. Then when you unzip it, you will have something like this. And I'm with version 3.4.1. And there's a file that you can execute the file to start with. First things first, if you're dealing with data with OpenRefine, there's a very simple file here, the initialization file, where in this initialization file, you can define how much memory you can use in this. So if you just open up this in your notepad, I will open this with a very simple notepad one, as you can see here. And you have one option here is what's the initial memory heap size and what's the maximum memory heap size. Normally it comes with 256 megabytes and about 1 gigabyte of RAM that will be available. And I know as I have a 32 gigabyte computer here, I just put to 16 megabytes as a maximum heap and a 1 megabyte for a start. But the memory hungry of this kind of system can escalate a lot. And people normally say that over 2 gigabytes is not that critical to use in OpenRefine sometimes because of some limitations as it runs on a browser. So it starts to get very, very slow and maybe don't work that well if you know what I mean. But I put here 16 megabytes as I don't have that memory issues, and I just prefer to keep it free for that. But I really recommend that if you have at least 8 gigabytes of RAM, that you put this to 2 gigabytes, like 2048 megabytes of RAM, and increase the initial heap for about 512 megabytes just for start, like this. Yeah, XMS like 112, and this for, and you keep multiplying this as long as you have more memory. Like for 8, if you have 8 gigabytes, you can do like this. If you have 16 megabytes, you can push it more and more. I normally keep this as 16. It's just a personal option, but not that it really goes that far. This is also important to know because there's an option too that you can change this on Gephi, so you have more memory, even though there's no such limitation. It's because the new version of Gephi makes this automatically. The older ones you have to do this manually. Now you don't need to do this anymore. It's automatically when you reach a ceiling of maximum memory, you automatically try to change the results of the initial file and reboot again. But you have to take care, but this means that normally you can be working with some data and then you can lose everything because of that. So maybe for a start, it's good to change the data on Gephi for the minimum heap size and the maximum heap size. The commands are quite the same. You have to search for the X and the X in the initialization file you get. Okay, so just click to close this, and I'm going to open OpenRefine. When you open OpenRefine, the first thing it does is to create this window, and in this window here, like a prompt window that you have with the symbol of this diamond, blue diamond, you have like a little tiny server, you know. And what it does is to create a local host. You see 127.0.0.1 in the port 3333, the port 3333 or 3333. And if you, for any reason, close and forget the point of entering in your OpenRefine, you just put localhost, and there you go. You're back to OpenRefine, okay? As long as the server is running, okay? The server must be running so you can do this. Okay. OpenRefine lets you import any kind of data that you want in the formats like TSV, CSV, other kind of separated values, Excel files, JSON, XML, RDF, and other kind RDF, XML, and other data that you want. If you just choose a filter here, and I'm going to choose one example here, it will just open up in OpenRefine. And for this example, I'm going to do first import data from a CSV file like this. Let's see this one. And that's an easy one. It will just start expecting the selected files, and it will give you a preview of the data. This is interesting because it tries to understand what's the encoding that you have. If you have problems in the encoding, let's say if I just, let's think that for some reason it was loaded with this kind of encoding here. I'm going to put a very different encoding here, like this one, big 5. Let's see if I can. Going to put this UTF-8, okay. If you have a wrong encoding, you can change it, but it's already with the right encoding, so it won't understand wrongly now anymore. It just understood that my file was separated by commas, but if it were tabs and it didn't detect it correctly, you can change this. You can trim the leading zeros or not if you want. And this is important because sometimes the IDs, you just want to keep the IDs. So if I just white space from strings or other things, I can just change this. And afterwards, if you just go and create your project, I'm going to give a name here for this. And I will just say like test one. And I'm going to create my project. I can even put some tags if I want, just to keep this as a project that I can find later on. Okay. If I just create a project, it will say that I have 52,441 rows on this data. And you have several rows here that maybe are not so interesting for me. So the first thing that you can do in OpenRefine is you can just clear up things that you're not interested in to keep for your future data analysis. So let's say here I just can go to all and say that I want to reorder and remove some columns. So as I take a look here, this GUID doesn't mean anything for me, either the link. The publication date is important for me, so I want this. I want the author, that's for sure. I have the title, that means what was said in that moment. You see that the description here is just the text without the retweeting. So it's the retweeting here and then the account. So it's an option for me if I want to keep it or not. And I will just make some cleaning here for me. Like, let's say, just this first cleaning to take a look. And you see that we have a profile image and other things. Just clean a little bit more. We all remove columns. Say, well, user ID is not important for me here. It's not. I don't know. I don't want to see the source because if it was WordPress, it was written for our phone. That doesn't matter. Profile image URL doesn't mean a thing for me too. Let's say user created that doesn't mean a thing too. It's okay. And there you go. And then I can see a lot of columns that doesn't mean that much for me, like with zeros with no data that are interesting. So I can also clean up these. I just want to keep the data from basically the title and the description, and the rest of it is not that important for me anymore. So I'm going to clean up the rest of this. So I'll just say that coordinates are important, field ID, all this are data that was not part of it on Analytic. Analytic not always download everything that we want. Say that has some inputs there, but it's not exactly what would be best. User location doesn't matter for me. Language, I will keep language for a while, a little bit while. There you go. See, here is identification of the language that what was this content offered. The user type that we can think about this, if it's important or not for me, if I want to make any kind of extrapolation with this, but then I have all these results here. You can see I just make some adjustments on this data, and I can just export this as a CSV file, and then bring that to Gephi, bring that to any other thing you want. And let's say that I just want to take a look on this and think about terminologies here and what things has been said, which were the most common words. And I just can think about, well, for me, it's just important if things were said to be in Portuguese, okay? Normally this language detection is not that good. We probably bring this to Google Sheets and then do language detection using Google Sheets if we want to do so, because sometimes the language that is said is a language that in some sense was defined by the user, or maybe it was a perception of Twitter, but it's not that good. What that perfect. So maybe it's not what we really want here. We can also make some kind of filters here and say, well, I want to do a facet, what's it called, facet, and say, well, I will just want some kind of tweets. And say, well, there's a lot of facets here, possible ones, and say, well, there's too many to display, but I can then let me just reset. Sorry, text filter. And I just want to have RT as and this case sensitive. And then as you can see here, I just with this facet, I just removed my maximum rows and started to be just 42,000 of the total that has a retweet. Okay, let's start with a retweet in some place. I just put this as a RT space and so if I extract this down, I'll just have the results from retweets, and that will be great for me. It will make my first cut. I can do that a second cut, saying, well, I just run retweets as long as, let's see, I use a text facet in this case. Instead, there's several languages here. I just want if as long as they are said to be in Portuguese. And then I have just 2,048 matching rows. After I do all these facets and these cuttings, I can then make an export data CSV file and to take a look further on what I want. Okay. If I just export this, there are several options here. One of the options here is to export this as a comma-separated value, for example. And then if I just export this as a comma-separated value, I can form later on what I want. I also can export this as a Google Sheets and do then perform all the language detection that I taught on the last workshop, on the last Radical Lab. So when I do this, I can start with OpenRefine and then later on go to Google Sheets, make some adjustments, and then go back here if I want. Or even make a part of this inside of the results. Let's just export this as a comma separated value here. That save it as one CSV. And if I just choose to show this, I can see how it goes. Everything red with the results here. And so if I just import this to Gephi now, I'll be able to do some interesting analysis. That's because I can just separate what was the results that I have and what are the interesting ones. If I just import this to Gephi, that's an interesting thing because everything that's a retweet will start with an RT. But as you can see here, the RT is with a space to the beginning of the account that was retweeted. Sometimes people retweet something that then has an account that was cited. So if I want to further make an analysis of this and even make a kind of cut inside of Gephi of what really will be kept with me together, I can perform some kind of tweaks as I showed before, like collapsing here the RT with the add symbol so that I will not have any space here. So that's what I'm going to do here, search replace. And I'll just search replace here like the RT in space and this. And I will just put quotes before because this will help me prevent any kind of serious change. And I'll just put this together like this. So this will guarantee that when I talk about something that begins with RT, I'm talking about something that was retweeted. Okay. So I'm going to replace all this. In which case, in this case, it's okay. I don't need to be something. I'll replace all here. Okay. And that was a way to guarantee what was the results here. You can see all of them starting with RT. Together. Okay. So besides that, and with these results in mind, I can then save this again. And let's say if I go to Gephi again, and I make a file, import, and then I do next. Did I close the CSV? Yes, it's important to close. I'm going to select file. Just cancel that Co-Occurrence, sorry. Select file. Downloads. Test one. Okay. And it will ask me if it's a comma separated value. I said yes. And there's a text delimited also. That's the quotes. It's important here saying that quotes to text delimited. Yeah. And I'm going just to do a kind of connection with what we call the title content. That will be the content inside of this. And then inside the content, then I'm going to use a little bit of very clever way of working with this. Let's say that space is my separated. No, I'm going to use let me see here. That would be a space. Okay, yeah, there you go. Next, I can also put the pub date as an information about the time frame. Okay, there you go. Oh, it has an unexpected effect. This happens in Gephi. Let me just try to overcome this. I'm going to take a look here and say that every time that I see dots, We're going to put the same column just to make things easier. I think this will be okay. Search replace. Put this space and say this. Okay, that will be okay. Save. Five, 4, 5. Stay here. Oops. Okay. That's comma. Next. Alter. Title. Next. And I put some column with next. I put down top and put this the date here in this case. Okay. Some nodes were created based on edges, source, and target. Okay, that's perfect. And enter. So if I just take a look on the data laboratory, I will have some situations here, very interesting situations here, because there are some nodes here, like this ones, that can be deleted because they are not talking about retweets at all. So I can just start deleting cells here. And afterwards, if I just order by a label here, if I type out that this is like all the authors that retweeted someone. And then we can see the retweeting accounts, what was retweeted after all. I just can start delete all. And if I just take a look here and filter first as the not the ID, I want the file. Okay. There you go. And then I just order this and will be very quick to clean out. Yes. There you go. And do just the retweets will keep. All. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. There you go. And I'll have a retweet template. Nearly done. Nearly done. Okay. Some cases here where you can see that the results were a little bit different, but I can just take it here in my workspace if I go here back, and then I just run something like a full cycles to. I start seeing what was the account and what was retweeted, and I can just start giving type files for the partitions, and then I can start thinking about rankings from degree, and we can see how it goes. And this, as you can see on the colors, the authors, and this was the title or the retweeted account. So this is a retweeted account that was mainly retweeted by all these other guys here. So you can see there are some very, very important clusters here. You can then perform a kind of multi-node approach here. Just going to stop for cycles and then can perform it. So in order not to we have about 33 minutes to finish this break lab. And now we're going to talk a little bit of open refined dealing with the Json files back. Here we go. Just sending a message. Okay. See here, I'm just opening the Open File. There you go. We're going to open up now a different kind of file. We're going to open a file that's a JSON file. A JSON file, as you know, is not that simple to deal with because it's sometimes it's pretty similar to a CSV file in some sense, but other times you have situations that there are several sorry, just have to answer here. Let me just open up here, start from the beginning. I'm going to open and choose a file here. And in this case, it will be a file like this. It's a JSON file. And when we choose a JSON file, you may end up with something like this. This is a trends in Twitter for one day, specific day. Okay. And this trends in Twitter, it has timestamps and so, and the trends for each one. And as you can see, it's nested because for every day that you have a set of trends, and each trend has a set of sub items. So there you go. Here, as you can see, you have to choose the level that you want to make your cut. Okay, so the level will be something like, in this case, the whole data. So you have to choose the level here. And if I just choose this level, I will just have the results from the trends from one specific day. If I choose here, I'll have the whole picture of everything that's in this file, okay? Using this, you can see that then it will just start doing like the timestamp from each one of the cases. Then there's another timestamp, as you can see here, others, and so on. And from each timestamp, you have the tweets, okay? So if I just create this project here that I will call Twitter Trends Brazil, okay, I'm gonna create this. And there you go. You can see it shows that you have some consolidation here that can be performed because all these tweets happens to appear in the same moment, but they have data they share in common because this is the link and this is the respective hashtag that was most tweeted on that time. This is the same, but with the query that should be done because in the query you have to make the change of the terminology of the hashtag so that you can adjust this. For percentage 23 is the code, is the ASCII code for hashtag symbol. Then you have the trends and so on, and you have all the results here. Anyway, if I export this directly, I have a problem because this will generate, and I'm going to export this as a CSV file so you can see this. And if I just open up this CSV file, you can see that I have on the first line the result, and then they generate several lines that are part of that first register. And normally when I try to analyze this, I need to put this all together. I need that to be joined in some sense. So that's what I'm going to do this with OpenRefine. This is a very, very brief introduction to OpenRefine here because we're just planning to make some very useful and full trick for this kind of use of OpenRefine to deal with data. And then you can make here in all, I just can choose to make some edit columns and just remove some columns that are not interesting to me. So if I want to timestamp, it's okay. I don't need the trend as of, it's okay. Not to create that, I don't want to. I don't want the URL too. I just want to keep the name. I don't want the query. Maybe we can keep up with the volume now because we cannot pairwise this, so it won't work. Promote this content, no, two, no trends, no. Let's just keep these two columns, that will be okay. And you can see here, I have a timestamp and I have all the trends on that moment. But afterwards, I have an option here that I can here it goes. I can join multiple values so that I can then transform this. I can say that each one of these values will be separated by a comma, for example, now. And when I do this, I have now the results with a timestamp and all the trends separated by a comma. And if I take a look on my 100 and I can see here 50 records of my 124 records. Now I have a sequence of trends of 124 timestamps with a different set of trends. And then I can export this. And as you can see now, if I export as a comma separated values, he's doing this right now. If I just go to show inside of this, I can just open up a notepad and you can see it's a timestamp and the trends here, the trend name, and it's all together. And then I go back to Gephi, and then I go back to Gephi. I go back to Gephi, this JSON file is not that bad anymore. You know, JSON, sometimes we can make things a little bit easy if we use OpenRefine. Okay, let's take a look at this. I'm just going to close this file, and I'm going to open up in Gephi. And for this, I'm going to import data. I'm going to use Co-Occurrence and the convert Excel CSV files to network here. I'm going to select file. Downloads. And then I have here the CSV file open. And I'm going to say that's separated by in this. Ouch. I think I made a mistake because when I generate this, you see, I used comma to separate and it was also comma here. So this won't work because it's not closed at the end as it's okay because it's closed at the end by quotes. It works. Fortunately, it works. But now you have to take care of not using the same kind of separator. So I just start saying that it's a comma, but as a text delimiter, and then I use timestamp. I just want to do this one like this, one with another. Inside of this, I'm going to say that's a comma also. And I can try to use timestamp, but as I remember, this only works with Excel, not CSV, so probably may have a problem. Okay, let me just cancel this and just do another export here. The file. That's a bit nicer. And I'm going to export this as an Excel file. It's easy to do like that. So I just open up with Excel. So then I'm going to go to Gephi again. And I'm going to import this as an Excel file. Select file. Here. Um, and I don't know if there was something wrong this that the Excel export file. Let's see. When we find with some mistake on this, and resume XLF. Okay, let me just that. Yeah, it's an Excel file, so it's absolutely an Excel file. So we just close this, yes. Close this, yes. Yes. And restart Getty because sometimes that's the issue. Sorry about that. Probably this lesson should be edited later on with or being offered in YouTube channel, something like this. But we are near there. Where import, there you go. Select file. And this computer. That's cool. Oh, that's why didn't accept it because it needed to be an Excel. Oh God. Let's just play around with this. Just perform this in the very old way. Just have to generate this as an Excel file and just preparing it as an Excel file to just to solve this issue. Wait. Okay, so there. And I'm going to open up this again. This computer downloads. Okay, there you go. First, now it understood, so I just going to get the trends, and I'm going to say that's a comma inside of this that will generate the differences, And the timestamp is what we're going to use as an information for what my dynamic network represents. Going to create links among this. I'm not going to remove duplicates and not even try to deal with sub loops. I just think it's fine. And get yes for an exception. Okay. Okay, it's because of the timestamp that he didn't understood. So in this case, we have to open up a file with reference XLS. We can just adjust this timestamp like something like this. Just insert. Yeah. Excel sometimes it's really a pain. It's because it's understanding this as they now have values that won't have issues. The problem is that sometimes when you import this is wrongly understood what's going on. I'm just going to paste the values and then I'm going to exclude this. And then I'm going to finally save this. So file will be ready. Hope so. And then I can import it. File, import, co-occurrences, select file. Just as for the trends, next. And I'm going to put the comma, then I'm going to put the timestamp. I'm going to create this. And then I'm going to finish. Okay, now it has the nodes. Now it has all the images that are together. It's a non-directed network in this case, and I'm just going to hit OK. And there we go. We have the trends during time. And this trends during time, if I go to the data laboratory, we can see that these are all the different hashtags that has been in some moment more or less important for this. You can see but then, wow, okay. So in this case, we should have done some cleaning with cases where you have lowercase and uppercase. This could be performed the Open Refine too. If we just come here to the Open Refine, we can just make some edit cells and adjust, coming transforms like everything to lowercase. to lowercase, then everything will be lowercase, and this will be easier to export and then deal with, because in our case, as they are sometimes with upper and lowercase, this will make differences in how things are going on, and in some sense, tags don't have that both, so being upper or lowercase. But for the sake of our example here, we are going just to perform a very simple way of dealing with this. We are going to colorize this. There's no partition that we can think about here because all the types are the same. So we're going to apply a statistic, a very quick statistic here for all the data. Just run this, and then it will give for us quite a number of communities, 3 communities. Okay, and then we're going to apply this. And besides that we apply these communities here, we can then perform a ranking based on the degree. And there you go. And this is the degree over time. With all these counts here, we can just apply false atlas to see how it goes. And you see probably this transposition deals with the idea of something that's running over time. That's why it's doing like this. Probably these hashtags were on time and then the other. We can see if this is true now. If we just take a look and adjust our time frame here. We can just as you can see here, this is a start of our, and I'm just going to eventually blog move here together. And I'm just going to put the titles of what's going on. I'm going to adjust a little bit of this. And start. It's a little bit too quick for me. I'm just going to adjust it, take like a frame for a while. There you go. I have to adjust here. Back. There you go. And you can. There's some options here in the play settings that you can use a bigger delay, like 1 second delay. That's what we have 1,000 milliseconds. 2 seconds delay. Okay. And then we can start things to see how it plays. Okay. Let's go back here. And just start. Instead of this. You can see gently how things are going, time to time, time to time. New results are disappear. Normally, sometimes it's nice to see this in false atlas. Sometimes I prefer to see this in Fisherman Heidegger, because Fisherman Heidegger put more circle-like resolution things, and things are just collapsed together, and then it's better to see it centered, as long as things are coming on and going. I think this is too slow here. I just can change play settings for speed up. Maybe half a second delay.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I'm finishing.
Sorry to interrupt, but it's just to remind you that at 6, some of the participants they are joining like the Brazil projects and Mexico project. They are meetings and.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. I'm just finishing here.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But so, João, if you need to join your group, so maybe yeah, feel free to go. Thanks, Fábio. Sorry again for interrupting.
No, okay. I think I'm done here. I was just trying to show this like this, how it will go, and you can see that over time think the hashtags will just be moving and showing how it goes. So I think that's okay.
Great.
That's okay for now. So see you then. And if you have any kind of, if you see this video and you have any kind of doubts about, just let me know. Bye.